Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the K1 and Stewie Show.
I'm K1.
And I'm Stewie.
And I'm Hope.
We probably have one of the most requested guests here with us today in his third season as head coach of Marquette men's basketball, Coach Shaka Smart.
Yes, sir.
What's up, everybody? Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you taking the time to come on. We know you got a busy schedule.
For sure. Also, Coach, I don't know if you tuned into the podcast or not. I'm pretty sure you have, of course.
Of course.
But
you guys didn't know I'm big fans of yours.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that a lot. So you know about the EGQs.
Yes.
We obviously got that from, the EGBs, energy generating behaviors.
And I got to give Hope a shout out right off the jump for being admitted in the Medill. That's
Sure.
big time.
Oh my God, thank you.
We're talking about one of the best journalism schools in the world. So congratulations, Hope.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
That is a very big accomplishment. We can give a round of applause for that.
I don't mind that.
We can
I
give a
don't
round
mind
of
that.
applause for that. That's tough.
And Northwestern, if you're listening, I will take financial aid. Thank you.
Okay.
We got a rising star, Northwestern.
For sure. She on the way. I'm
The
not
next
too sure
Mike
about
Wilbon, also a Medill grad.
I was about the next who now?
Mike Wilbon
You know who that is.
from PTI.
If you'd recognize him. You'd recognize
I know
him.
his face.
The
Yeah.
bald guy from PTI.
What's PTI?
Part of the interruption.
I don't know who that is.
You just stay focused on making shots, my man.
We can do that. About the EGQs, the EGQ we have for you today is, when in your career did you learn? Oh, actually, my bad. I forgot. Not my fault. So, one of our traditions on the team when we get a road win is milkshakes. This is not in honor of the last road game, but we thought it was being nice to just have milkshakes for everybody in the group. So we got you a nice cookies and cream milkshake.
Oh, wow.
For sure.
I appreciate that.
For sure.
But you know how we do is really just after a big time win on the road.
For sure.
Yeah.
So,
You gonna pass on it?
I'm gonna say thank you for this
For
and
sure.
maybe take like one little sip.
Okay.
But as you guys know, I'm hungry for that
Yes,
next
sir.
one that we go get because those things are hard to get.
Yes, sir. Same
Extremely
here.
hard to
Same
get,
here.
man. We definitely, we're gonna be focused tomorrow. Gonna be a great day. Back to the EGQ. In your coaching career, was there what inspired you, or where did you learn to start talking EGBs to your team, or where did you learn it from?
So I've worked with a lot of different influences in my life, and some of my best influences are people that I've never even met. But in this case, there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. Joe Carr, and he's worked with hundreds of athletes and teams at the pro level, the college level, and so he invented the EGB, and he worked with us over the years for a few years there at Texas, and what we did was kind of expanded on his definition, came up with some Marquette specific things, and we thought it was important because we have such great fans to share it with our fans, not just have it be an internal thing, but have it be something that our fans and our students and our alums can participate in, and it's been pretty cool going into year 3.
Yeah, it do be funny hearing the fans talk about EGBs and floor slaps and stuff like that. That do be pretty funny.
Do you have a personal favorite EGB?
Well, I mean, Stevie, I love when you slap the floor. I mean, I think that's something good is going to happen when that occurs. But, to me, it's not really about any one specific. It's the combination, as we talked about in practice today, the effect on each other. We talk about dominoes. We talk about multipliers. And so it's not necessarily one specific EGB, but just bring in as many as you can and try to help the people around you be better.
Yeah. One of my personal favorite things that we do with EGBs is right before the game, everybody gives someone an EGB. We all run around, give each other EGB. I don't think we've ever, lost a game after doing that. So that's definitely one of my favorite ways we incorporate EGBs that nobody sees except us. So, yeah,
There's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that people don't see.
Yeah, for sure.
And so we know that, you're obviously very busy during the season of basketball, but I am curious what your favorite off-season activity would be.
I would say whether it's the off season or even during the season, my favorite activity away from the team is spending time with my daughter Zora, and particularly I enjoy doing sports with her. She plays soccer, she plays basketball, she's dabbled in a few other sports, Right now, we're on day 88 of every day, 15 minutes of dribbling. 1 ball and 2 ball dribbling. Cam and Stevie know that ball handling is an element of basketball that I really believe players should work hard at. And so since my daughter started playing basketball a year ago, I got her doing a lot of dribbling, and she's gotten way better. So we're on day 88. My wife talks all the time about 90-day challenges, but we're not going to stop at 90. We're going to keep going.
That's funny. When you said day 88, I knew you was talking about ball handling. So
It's right away. I already knew it was.
Well, hey, listen, Hope, you need to know this. I'm pretty hard on these guys as it relates to dribbling, just because I think it's something that you can develop quickly, and you don't have to be the most talented player in the world. Stevie, in particular, and I would say Oso, are the 2 guys on our team that in the last couple of years have really got in the lab as it relates to ball handling and spent a ton of time kind of losing themselves in Caston Gym by themselves, working on their familiarity with that basketball, and you can see the results in the game.
100%.
definitely. Kind of stay on topic of like the games or whatever. So one thing we wanted to talk about was like your game day fits. I like on like when I do the Field of 60. Field of 68 fashion club. So I like your game day fits. I ain't gonna lie. I like the long sleeve and a polo. I think it complements itself very nicely. But do you have like a polo, a MU polo, like that's your favorite one for sure that you know of?
Well, last year when we won the regular season championship and then when we won the conference tournament in New York, I was wearing championship blue. Mm-hmm. So that kind of holds a special place in my heart. But the biggest thing, Cam, to be honest with you, is just that the shirt fits properly. Mm-hmm. I don't like when the shirt is too long, and then some of these polos are too wide. As you know, I'm, pretty slim and trim.
Yep.
And that's part of why I wear the dry fit underneath, because I like the tight fit. And then I also like I hate being cold. All right, and some of these arenas, as you guys know, that we go into are really cold, particularly before the game. But I also don't want to be too hot having like one of those pullovers that the assistant coaches wear. So the dry fit gives me a little bit in between.
I was just about to say.
And the flexibility.
Yeah.
I think between Stevie and I, probably the 2 most active guys on the team in terms of just, jumping around and the things that we do. So I got to be ready at any given moment. If Jop's over there close, we can do a little chest bump. Although I did see the replay of that, and he got up a lot higher than me.
Yeah, I don't know if you'd be able to get in the same stance that you get in on the sideline or with like a suit on. I never understood that.
Oh, that was a great change in college basketball, because back in the day before COVID, when we wore a suit and a tie, it was like you were really restrictive. One time I was coaching the game at Oklahoma when I was coaching at Texas, and I split my suit pants.
Yeah,
it split all the way down. And I just kept coaching. I was like, whatever, man.
He was lost in the fight.
We won the game. It was a close game, but at that point I realized, I probably need to be wearing some pants that stretch a little bit better.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I figure somebody be sick of it, just take it off one game, like take the jacket off, be done with it.
I would take the jacket off, but it's actually the tie,
that's
really
fast
tighten,
around the neck. Yeah.
And then the pants, depending on what you wear, they're a little bit too tight, but. Now it's cool. I can run up and down, and they gave me a hard time in that one game saying I was playing defense, which is crazy because you see some of these other coaches way more out on the floor than me, but maybe it's something about the quickness level. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that's what it is. I ain't never seen no coach. He was in the stands and he was sliding.
I don't think the other coaches get a stance like you can, so it's just not the same level of intimidation, so don't stand out as much as when you do it.
That was crazy.
I'm just trying to, emulate what you guys are doing.
It's all about getting the team stop, right?
Team stop, team score.
Absolutely.
But staying with EGQs, but kind of switching the subject up a little bit, if you could, coach any basketball player, of all, ever play, ever pick up a basketball, do you have we know you love Michael Jordan. Do you have a specific player that you would love to coach, though?
Well, Jordan's obviously the best of all time, and we argue all the time with Jop and with those guys are such LeBron fans, and
LeBron.
as well as a lot of you guys too.
Nah.
But I'll stay away from those even all-time greats. I think someone that would be just phenomenal the way that I love to play and we love to play would be Drew Holiday. Just because he's just such a dog on the defensive end, plays so hard, has such a character and a toughness to him. A lot like you, Stevie.
I about to say dark skin Stu.
Yeah. and he was just a winner, so it's going to be fascinating this season as the NBA season rolls on, to see if the Bucks are able to counteract what Drew Holiday and his team, the Celtics, are doing.
Yeah, I'm really hoping they're going to play each other in the playoffs.
I think that's coming.
It's going to be a good one.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah.
And so for our last EGQ today, we wanted to talk to you about your pregame routine. We've seen you with AirPods in, so we're just kind of curious what you're listening to, if it's music or an audiobook, or what does that look like for you?
I got a pretty extensive pregame routine, and it's different for home games than it is for road games. For home games, I always, after shoot around, work out, and I try to make sure I do some particular specific lifts, to kind of get me in the frame of mind. In terms of music, I would listen to all different kinds, and it could be anything from gospel music all the way to, rap, different hip hop music, maybe even pop music, if I'm feeling a certain kind of way. Cam and Chase and I exchange a lot of music, as well as a couple guys that I coached when I was at VCU. So I love sharing music with different people. But, right now, this gospel music puts me in a place of extreme gratitude. And I think that's one of the most powerful emotions going into a game, because we get to be here at Marquette. I get to coach guys like Cam and Stevie and our whole team. And so whatever gets you in the right frame of mind. But I lift weights. I try to do, a specific meditation. And, and then I kind of get ready, shower, shave, do everything I need to do. These guys, are out on the floor. I write a couple things on the board, and then they come in, and then we talk about what we need to do and go have fun out there.
That's super cool. Do you remember a specific song that you shared with players, or they shared with you, that is kind of integrated into the playlist?
Well, some of the songs that we share are not necessarily PG in nature.
Fair enough.
But I'll tell you one. Since Usher just did the Super Bowl. And he's kind of at the tip of people's tongue right now. And by the way, what a performance relative to how old some of those songs are, and him being able to capture, a 2024 audience with some of that stuff. And it took me back to literally me being your guys' age or even younger listening to that stuff. So the song No Limit by Usher is one that Cam and I have kind of gone back and forth on it, because it's got a good vibe, a good positivity, and it's a great way to kind of feel going into a game.
What was that, the one bar that you said that he had sent you, and you said he must have sent it to the wrong person? I think it was a Drake song.
It was a Drake song. It
was
was
July.
July. That's when I found out July. Yeah, that's when he said it was. I think that was slime you out.
Well, listen, for those of y'all that don't know, Cam Jones is absolutely a romantic at heart, and
We've seen.
Every once in a while, Cupid will shoot him straight in the heart. And, he can feel a certain kind of way sometimes based on circumstances. And so one time he sent me, it wasn't the song, it was a screenshot of the lyric of the song. And it was clearly something directed towards a female, not your coach.
Yeah.
And so I just, I said, hey, man, I love you too, man.
He said, I think you might have been sent that to your girlfriend. Nah, but that Usher, man, that's kind of funny you say that. You said it took you back to when you was my age. I was thinking he kind of got to go down as one of the greats just in music, just because of how timeless his music is. So I remember, like, I was thinking to myself, like, I was loving this club. That's one of my favorite songs of all time, and I used to be screaming that, like, back when it came out, like, not even knowing what I was saying, just liking the song, like, everything about that. So that was pretty cool to think about that.
Well, he's got great energy, and I think that's the biggest thing is just, whatever connects with your vibe or the energy that you have, and it's different things on different days.
For sure.
Perfect. So, obviously Cam and Stevie have gotten to know you very personally since they play for you. But for the listeners that maybe don't know as much, could you talk a little bit about your journey, your career, just anything you want to say about yourself?
Yeah, I grew up in this state, grew up in Wisconsin, in the Madison area. I was born in Madison. I went to college in Ohio at a place called Kenyon College, which is a very small liberal arts school, 1,600 kids. Stevie has an older brother that played and is in his last year playing, actually at a second school, but his first school, very similar to where I went, Division III, which means if it's Division III, there's no athletic scholarships. So you're truly playing for the love of the game.
Love of the game.
And I was that guy that I walked around campus with a Magic Johnson jersey on and a basketball at my hip and my backpack on. That was me. And, people probably looked at me like I was a little crazy. I was very, very dedicated to the game. And I was also a really good student because the way I was raised by a single mom, Monica Kings, my mom, the biggest influence in my life by far. She had two rules, and one of them was don't bring home a bad grade. And to her, a bad grade normally was a B. And so I was a very, very good student. I loved school. I enjoyed being in school. And one of the great things about coaching Stevie has been he's actually a better student than I was, which is I have not coached too many that are better than I was in school. I've coached a lot of guys that are better players. But I appreciate that about Stevie, that he has that level of dedication. And Cam's not bad either, but I think I got you from a cumulative GPA standpoint, Cam.
I'm gonna catch you. I'm gonna get up there. I'm gonna get up there with you, Stu. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna try to get up there. Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
So I played for 4 years, and for me, I learned so much while I was playing. I really couldn't imagine being involved in anything other than basketball. And I remember, these guys probably don't know this. When I was a senior in college, after my season got done, I went to this tryout camp for like European professional teams. And it was in Salt Lake City, Utah. I'd never been to Utah, anywhere close to there. So I went out there and I'm like playing against all these guys from different schools, some Division I guys, Division II, Division III. And I played pretty decent. And so I thought, man, I might have a chance to do this. And there was a potential opportunity, but it was like the lowest level that you could think of playing overseas. And it really wasn't like making a living. It was more like, hey, if you want to play, you
Love
can
of the
play.
game still.
Yeah, and it was literally the main perk of the job was you got to live on the second floor of a pub because the team was owned by a guy owned a pub, but I didn't drink beer, so that wasn't really much of a perk for me. But fortunately, my first college coach, I played for 2 college coaches, and the first one, he caused the worst day of my life, but he also was an unbelievably positive influence on me. The worst day of my life, from a basketball standpoint at least, and even personally, was when he called me and told me he was leaving. So after my freshman year, he left and he went to another school. It was a better job for him. But when he left, he did say, he planted a seed. He said, if you ever want to coach, you got a job with me anytime you want, and you can come, work with me, and you even can live with me, as a GA. So that's what I did. I decided right out of college I was going to go work for him. So I went to this place called California University of Pennsylvania. And it's about 45 minutes south of Pittsburgh.
I got some friends who go there.
Yeah, and Stevie knows about it, being a PA guy.
Yeah.
And it actually was phenomenal basketball. I mean, really, really good basketball. I tell guys this all the time, and you guys will laugh and roll your eyes, but I coached a guy there who was 26 years old. I was 22, 6'9". His name was Rashawn Roberts, and he could do anything there was in the game of basketball. Rashawn Roberts would start for any team I've coached since then. He'd find his way on the starting lineup from a talent standpoint. That's how good he was in Division II. I'm not going to say who he would kick off of our starting lineup, and I don't even know. But that's how good he was. Our whole starting lineup, most of those guys were older than me. And so it was kind of a baptism by fire into coaching, because I was coaching some guys that were 26 and 25 and 28, and I was 22. But I loved it. I didn't have really much money at all. I made $90 every 2 weeks. My first year I lived with Coach Brown. My second year I lived in an apartment that cost $150 a month. There was literally crack deals and strung out drug addicts in that building. It was not the greatest situation living-wise, but I loved it, and I was never there other than to sleep. I would go to Subway every single day, and I would get the sub of the day for $4. At that time, it wasn't $5 foot long, it was $4 foot long. This is back in 1999, 2000.
Man, they just slowly make it more expensive. They like $8 now. That's crazy.
And so, on Mondays it was pizza sub. On Tuesdays it was turkey. Wednesdays Italian. Whatever it was. Yeah. So I got that, and I would eat half of it for lunch and half of it for dinner. And so it was a cheap way to live. I loved it. My favorite parts were individual workouts, scouting reports, getting ready for the games, and of course recruiting, getting to know guys and that. And it was a great start in coaching. And then I just went from there. I went to 4 other stops as an assistant coach, and then finally landed at VCU as a head coach.
That's super cool. You sort of talked about it already in what you said about your mom and past coaches, but I just wanted to ask you directly, who has made a great impact on you?
Yeah, my mom's made the biggest impact on me, and she before I started playing basketball, didn't know anything about basketball. I didn't have any influence in basketball at all, and I didn't really have anyone teaching me. I was always really, really envious of kids with fathers who really worked with them. And there's one thing I love about several of the fathers of our players on our team, including Stevie and Cam. They're so involved and engaged and supportive of their sons. And they've got some basketball background too. So they can coach them a little bit. They can give them some pointers. I didn't have that. And so for me, my mom taught me about life. She taught me about people. And then my coaches, they put their arm around me. And I used to look at coaches like they were 10 feet tall. I mean, I was always looking out of the corner of my eye to see if the coach was looking. And that's because I didn't have a positive, dad in my life. And that's why it was so hard for me when my coach left in college. But those guys really taught me, everything that I know now and the way I go about things. And that's why what's fascinating is I'm obviously evaluated by winning and losing, but that's not why I coach. That's not the primary reason. Now, don't get it twisted. I love winning. And we'll go after winning for sure. And when we lose, we are not happy campers. At all. And there's some stuff, the consequences of that. But really the main reason I coach is, let's take Oso, for example. This guy, look at the way he's changed since he got to Marquette. And just to get an opportunity to be a small part of his journey, just using him, and we got a bunch of other guys as well. This guy's going to be a first-round draft pick in the NBA draft. This guy is going to do unbelievable. He's going to leave here with 2 degrees. He is going to, be an unbelievable father and husband, and all this because of who he's become and the journey he's been on. So getting a chance to be a small part of that for each one of these guys is really something I'm so grateful for every day.
That's amazing.
That's on me. My fault. So you touched on it just a little bit, like your basketball career. We just want to know, what kind of player were you on the floor? I think I pretty much got a good idea of what kind of player you were on the floor. Nice PG. But if you had any specialties you wanted to tell us about or anything like that.
You know what? One of the nicest things that anyone ever did for me, and one of my teammates and really good friends, as a graduation present, made me a really, really long, extensive highlight tape from my college games. I mean, he literally got, back then it was VHS tapes. So he got, not every game, but he got probably half or 2/3 of the games. And he made me this highlight tape. It's about 45 minutes long. And it starts my freshman year, and it goes all the way through my senior year. And I haven't watched that since, I don't know, probably, when he first gave it to me, I probably watched it a handful of times. And I've always had it. I literally still have it on VHS. I think he converted it at one point to a DVD as well. Someday I need to break that out for you guys. Cam.
Sounds like a good
Please
idea
bring
for our
that
next
out.
team activity.
Please bring that
I
out.
need to
I want to
break
see
that.
that.
So my game,
That's nice.
First of all, I love defense.
Yeah.
So Stevie Mitchell, that's a man after my heart because I love a guy that just has a level of passion and excitement for defense. I loved guarding guys that were bigger than me. All right, so Cam, I would have been all over you, like white on rice. Okay, everything that you do, man.
You was on it?
That would have been fun for me. I'm not saying I
Okay.
would have locked you up
Okay.
because you're a tremendous player, but that would have been a fun challenge.
Okay.
I love to pass. Love to pass. I had 20 assists in a high school game, and that was kind of, in high school, my favorite game that I ever played, even though I only scored 5 points in that game. I only shot 2 times in that game,
That's
but
efficient.
I had 20 assists. And it was just so much fun. I just got a kick out of, passing the ball to guys and being able to create opportunities.
So you saying you up there with TK on?
No. Tyler's the best passer that I've ever been around as a player, as a coach, at the college level. I mean, he's a wizard.
Yeah.
And you guys know that. I mean, how about that pass he had a few games ago where he drove it baseline, he wrapped it around, and he didn't even know who he was passing to. He was trying to throw it to the top of the key, but then he threw a perfect pass to the cutter.
Yeah.
And you laid it in.
Yes, sir.
And, he's a wizard.
Yeah. Like everybody gets to see the passes he makes in the games, but I would say his crazier passes have even come in practice.
Well, he'll do some things in practice, and it's kind of like comical.
Yeah.
Because you guys are a little bit more loose in practice.
Yeah.
But it is fun to see, and it's been a joy seeing you guys, this group that's been together for 3 years, how much more you guys have gotten to know each other on the court.
Yeah. For sure. So do you feel like you could have, played with us? Like, what we all say starting a role. So what role would you have started? If you were part of our team?
Well, if I wasn't as talented as you guys, so I wouldn't have got a lot of minutes. But I could have been part of the team for sure. When I got done playing, one of the things that you did if you were a young aspiring coach is you worked basketball camps around the country, different places. So I worked camps at several Division I schools. And, as a young guy, I'm 22, 23, 24 years old, I'm jumping into pickup. They're playing pickup after camp. So I learned at that point the difference between some of the levels of basketball. And the biggest thing, I think, for me was just the strength difference. And that's why, people don't understand how strong Stevie Mitchell is. And, you look at him, and it's like, oh, okay, yeah, he's a good player, and he's got this. But if you try to drive as just a normal guard, he's going to put his body on you, and it's going to be like you're running into a wall. And so the combination of quickness and strength is just different at this level. It's different. But for me, I've always been someone that I loved my teammates and the connection with guys. A lot of the things that I coach you guys on, I did not understand when I was playing to the level that I understand them now. But I think that's really, at the end of the day, that's the job of the coach. Have you ever played outdoor basketball?
Yeah. Black top.
Okay, so when you go play outdoor basketball at the park, for those of you that have not played, Cam knows this and Stevie knows this. There's always this old guy out there playing, and he's wearing jean shorts and an old tank top. either black or white tank top, and his jean shorts are sagging, right, Cam?
Mike got a headband on too.
He got a headband. He's overweight, but he can play.
He can be nasty.
And he's out there getting buckets. He got post-up game. He got a fadeaway like MJ. And in between games, he always says, young fella, if I knew back then what I know now, I would have. And then he'll say, I've gone to the NBA, or I would have done this, or I would have done that. We've all seen that at the outdoor court, right?
Yeah.
That's coaching. It's to somehow help you guys know now so that you're not that old guy at the park.
Yeah.
When you're 35, 40 years old. Not that you're going to be necessarily that, but so that you're not, man, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have understood. And as you guys know, that's easier said than done because there's a lot of different things that can come into play in the mind.
Yeah. It's emotions, hard to hear stuff that's, you're competing at going hard as you can, maybe lose a few drills, just becomes a little harder.
You know what people don't even know is we have a lot of confrontation in practice.
Yeah.
We had confrontation today.
Yeah.
But the beauty of it is there's an underlying true love and appreciation for one another. And I think because of that, we're able to always come together after there's adversity, after there's conflict, in the name of the greater cause, which is winning for our common cause, Marquette, and making you guys the best you can be.
Yeah, for sure. And like a lot of this stuff kind of just reminds me of, the culture doc that we have and kind of like our reset thing we always kind of fall back to in times of adversity or even when things are going well. So just like curious on to like where that came from or like how that got designed because, you wrote it or designed it, put it together. So just curious on that.
Well, I've coached, this is my 15th season as a head coach. It's gone so fast. But out of those 15 years, I've been fortunate to coach a lot of good teams and then a few that were very, very good, which I believe this team has a chance to be excellent in the end. But I coached one really bad team from a record standpoint and from a culture standpoint. So I've had one losing season. And as you guys know, sometimes you learn more from losing than you do from winning.
Mm-hmm.
And so that season for me, was 2016-17, my second season at University of Texas. And I won't even get into all the reasons why we had a losing season or why our culture wasn't where it needed to be. All problems are leadership problems. So at the end of the day, that comes back to me as the head coach. I think sometimes head coaches can make excuses or come up with different reasons. But at the end of the day, I'll take it on my chin. So what I did at the end of that season is I wrote the culture doc. And throughout the season when we were losing games, I wrote different parts of it. And I saw different things that we were doing that were the opposites of how we needed to be. As you guys know, each of the 21 principles in our culture doc has an opposite.
Yeah.
So Ubuntu has an opposite. I'm in this by myself, for myself.
Yes, sir.
And so there was a lot of that on that team. There was a lot of the opposite of we compete forever on that team. And so that's what allowed me to kind of formulate in my mind the culture doc. So the words and the principles and the values of the culture doc have largely stayed the same. It's been adjusted some. Certain things have changed and been amended, and you guys have taught me every year. And so we've changed certain things. But what we've done as well, more importantly, is we've brought it to life with the images, with the video. You guys know we created a video version of the culture doc this year that has you guys describing in your own words what the values and the principles mean, which now when I send that to recruits, that's way more powerful and way more impactful than the written version.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, that makes sense. Man, the recruits probably look at that like this tough.
I definitely
That's
would.
what I'm saying. That's
Listen,
nice.
I'm not allowed to talk about specific recruits by name until they've signed. But I suffice it to say, these guys really, really, really look up to you guys. I mean, it's incredible. And you're living it, so you don't really have that perspective, but they see what you're doing from the standpoint of basketball success, but also cultural success, how we act, interact, and respond on and off the court. And they look up to you. And if they choose to come to Marquette, that is the number one reason why. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's tough. The culture, Doc, is it's crazy how a lot of it apply, not just to hoop, but just in life in general, ways you need to be in life. But here at Marquette, we got a lot of traditions, whether that be the school, the team, program, etc. We already talked about our favorite traditions on one of our previous episodes, but we wanted to know if you had any favorite, Marquette tradition or something like that.
Man, we got so many traditions I love.
They're great.
We mentioned the milkshakes at the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
For those you guys that have never been able to actually take part in it, winning on the road is very, very hard.
Extremely.
It's tough. In fact, I believe in that losing season I told you that I coached, I think we lost every road game in that season, I believe. And so I've been through the opposite. And so the milkshakes, and just, again, it's not the act of drinking the milkshake, but it's like going and earning it. I love the way that you guys are after the game when we dance in the locker room. I like the song, and we can't really get into it before the game that you sing, Cam, and that everybody gets into.
For sure.
I really enjoy the fans, the way that the fans like kind of get revved up before the game. I like after the game, when we run around and give everyone high fives. The dominoes has become really, really cool. I was on campus today, and a bunch of people mentioned that to me. I'm trying to get a domino. I want to get a domino. So it's pretty cool, that we've been able to put our own little stamp on, how things operate here from a basketball standpoint over the last few years.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember just even being around students, and then this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, but just students talking about EGBs and how much they love floor slaps and stuff like that. It's something they've never even seen before. So that's always stuck with me and been pretty cool. And even some fans have this, for instance, I think it was our last home game, but this one little young girl gave me her own version of a domino. She just made it on paper and then signed the back of it like we do. And then last year, my guy Sully, he gave me a domino. It had 4 dots on it for number 4. He signed the back of it. So kind of just seeing the impact it's has on just the younger generation has been pretty cool, especially because when you come to college, you're not really thinking about giving dominoes out to fans after the game, which was just something just makes it bigger than basketball, which is what it really is.
Well, and I would say this. You guys don't even know how impactful and how significant your impact has been, and you probably won't fully realize that until several years after college. For those listeners out there, I don't know if we've talked about this or you guys have on this podcast, but Stevie and Cam, along with Cam Brown, Jop, RJ, we got to include cheese in there.
Throw cheese in there.
So this class of guys, their name is the Guardians. And we actually, put that name on this class very, very early.
Yeah, when we first pulled up.
In their tenure at Marquette, because I just kind of realized, man, this group is different. They just got a different way about them. And these are the guys, and of course they were freshmen the same year our coaching staff was in our first year. These are the guys that are going to be 20 years from now when people look back, okay, this particular era, who started it, who was at the foundation of it, and who really looked after it. And I truly appreciate that about you 5 guys. There's obviously a lot of chapters still to be written before you're done, but you don't even know the extent of the impact that you have.
Appreciate that. Just, continue to to build it even further. I think that's something we both, talk about every day, just what we can be, but we know we got to, go make it happen, obviously with the help of everybody in our program and just leaning on each other, just going back to the culture, Doc, just following those principles, our foundations, stuff like that. But actually, speaking of our foundations, relationships are a big thing we, talk about, put a lot of time and effort into. I know we actually have a team activity on Thursday, a game show. I'm looking forward to that. But can you talk about like the relationship that the relationships you build within Milwaukee, just Wisconsin in general, since being here at Marquette and the impact they've had?
Well, I've really enjoyed being here and being part of this community. I got to mention Dr. Lovell, because he has been such a foundation of everything that we've done in our program. Obviously giving me the opportunity to come here as a coach, being so involved, knowing you guys on a personal level.
Yeah.
So that's a relationship that has been really, really influential, I think, in our success. And as I like to say, everything kind of flows downstream from him at Marquette. There's a reason that the student body at Marquette is the kindest, nicest, most energy-giving student body. There's a reason why there's just a great vibe on campus. So the relationships here have been awesome. It's been cool when we went up to see the Packers, for example, getting to know those guys a little bit, and getting a chance to hear from their coach. And then he actually asked me to talk to their team, which that was for me a really a highlight moment, because I was a little kid in the state of Wisconsin, like millions of other people in the state, following the Packers. And now the coach is saying, hey, do you got any words for the team? To have Jordan Love at our game, that was really, really special. And then I got a chance to text with him a little bit after the game. And so it's really neat being here where we are, located here, because you got the Bucks right here. You got the Packers up the road. There's so many Marquette connections that make this a special place.
Yeah.
Sports really do bring and keep Milwaukee. Like, you can sense the love with, just the sports, and us being here, when the Bucks won the finals, and, seeing everybody, celebrate that, and just seeing the love they have for their basketball teams and stuff like that, and sports teams and stuff like that.
Yeah, going back to actually what you were talking about when you were talking to the players for the Packers, the coolest thing I thought about that was like how much they were really feeling what you were saying, and like kind of like expanded off what you tell us, and like how our road approach, and how they were getting ready to go on the road, and how they really got excited after you started talking and were really getting hyped. So it was just cool to like see them embrace that the same way that we do, just different sport, different level, but just having the same impact was really cool.
It was awesome because we talk about violence a lot,
yeah,
right? And in the game of basketball, particularly at the Big East level, the team that has more violence of action has a huge advantage.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, football is a whole different level.
Yeah.
and those guys are so big. I mean, that was one of the things going to their practice, just seeing the enormity of some of those guys. And obviously we're not able to share exactly what was said in that huddle, but suffice it to say, I mean, this is the highest level, man, of football, for example. And it was cool just to be a little part of it for a second.
Definitely.
So as you may know, the Marquette community, we know you as a positive influence here. So as a journalist, I'm always curious how the content that we consume, how it impacts us positively. So I'm just curious if you're consuming any special content right now, like a book or a movie or something that has impacted you.
Yes, I consume a lot. And I actually, believe it or not, my set point when I wake up in the morning is not particularly positive. I'm a worrier. Like some of the guys on our team, I have a lot of anxiety. I think that a lot of people that are trying to go after something really, really, really hard are kind of on the brink of either doing something great or, maybe the opposite of that. And so for me in my life, I have to counteract that with a pretty active consumption of, things that balance me out. So since you asked, I'll give you a couple books that I think that people would enjoy they're not even basketball books, that I think would be really, really powerful. There's a guy named Rick Rubin who's a music producer, and he's produced, you name it. All the top music performers end up gravitating to him because he just has this way with them in the studio. He recently wrote a book called The Creative Act. And the book is applicable to coaching, to playing, to being a journalist, to anything you can think of. And it's very, very easy to consume just because of the way that he wrote it. You can read like a page here, a page there. So that's one I definitely would recommend for people to check out. And then anyone that's involved in any type of team or group endeavor, there's a book called Belonging by Owen Eastwood, who's actually from New Zealand. And it's about if you're part of a team and you're able to cultivate a feeling of true belonging. And he talks about the, umpteen different ways to do that, or the umpteen different ways that go against belonging. If you're able to create that, then you got a better chance to go do something special. So those are a couple in the last couple of years that have really stood out to me. I love to watch press conferences of other coaches that I look up to. I kind of felt a little bit of sadness when Nick Saban retired, because I was like, I'm not going to be able to watch his press conferences anymore. But I guess he's joining the media. He's going to be part of College Game Day. Mike Tomlin with the Steelers, I watch everything he does because he has an unbelievable professionalism and way to stay positive and stay level-headed, amidst one of the most challenging jobs and challenging dynamics there is. And then, I was a history major, so I love learning from the past. So recently, I don't watch a lot of TV, but I started watching this Genius series that National Geographic did on MLK and Malcolm X. And, to me, two of the most impressive figures in our history, regardless of race. And so those are a few things I've been looking at lately.
Sounds good. We'll check them out.
For sure. Well, before we get out of here, this ain't no question, but this kind of something I was, I don't know if I ever told you this, but when I was younger, growing up, I never was the biggest, I never watched college basketball. You feel what I'm saying? I watched it, wanting to play in it, but I wasn't just a big fanatic of it. But I always knew who you were. It was because of two things. It was one, because you didn't have no hair back then, and and I thought your name was extremely, I thought it was, tough, very unique, so cool, and that was the only reason. I just knew Shaka Smart, and I remember you got the job, I was like, man, that's kind of insane. You were one of the only coaches I knew the name of and, the face in my head, but I just want to say I respect you for being able to pull both looks off.
You know what
I'm saying?
Since you brought that up, because I think the listeners will really,
I respect that.
Will really enjoy hearing this. Man, in today's day and age, when there's a coaching change, it's rare for the high school senior that signed with that school to stick with the school. And if we say on a scale of 1 to 10, how grateful are you that Stevie and Cam decided to stay with Marquette? I'm at a 100. I remember calling you guys the day I got the job, and we just didn't know each other at all. Yeah. You didn't know me. I didn't know you. We were coming off of the year where there was COVID, where you guys weren't able to really visit. And so I couldn't even get on the plane and come visit you because of the COVID restrictions. And so we just started slowly but surely building our connections. Cam would send me outfits and music and, different things on social media. Yeah. Stevie and I would trade different quotes and different excerpts from reading and talking about. It's amazing how, Maya Angelou says when someone shows you who they are the first time, make sure you believe them. Well, you guys showed me who you were, and you have been that same person, and it's been so much fun watching you grow. And again, I'm just so incredibly grateful that you chose to stay with Marquette. And I'm just excited about the rest of this journey, man. Sometimes I guess there's coaches out there that get frustrated and they talk about how, this is bad or this, they don't want to do this or that. Man, I'm loving this, getting a chance to be your coach. I told Oso today, I saw him in the hallway. I said, man, I'm going to miss you when you're gone. And so I just think it's important to recognize that before someone's gone. Man. And I feel that way about you guys. We got a lot of basketball left to play, and I'm just grateful, man. In terms of the hair, who knows? Maybe I'll even get another look at some point.
I love it. I'm all for it. I like both looks. Like I said, I respect you for that. But, man, we are very grateful for you spending your time here with us today. It was a great episode for sure. I'm sure everybody had fun. And, man, thank you. Thank you so much. We got a game tomorrow. Be there, be square. Well, I ain't gonna lie, this might not be out. I'm tripping. Yeah, well.
It's saying is be there or be square. Be there, be square.
Oh, yeah, you get the picture. Well, appreciate y'all for listening to the K1 and Stewie Show. We out.